So today we are going to work on area model division. So the first thing to note is to make sure you know which facts that you need to write down. And these are your easy breezy facts, which are 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, and 200. So one of the first things we want to do is create our box, our area model box. Notice my box isn't super big, but it's not too small where I can't fit my numbers inside. So our big number is going to go inside, and our smaller number is going to go on the outside. So I have my box set up. So the next thing I want to do is to write down my easy breezy facts for 6. So I'm going to do that to the side. All right, I'm gonna start with 6 times 1, which is 6. 6 times 2, which is 12. 6 times 5 is 30. Remember, with this 0, I can, if it's bothering me, I can move it, make it on the other side of my equal sign, and now I'm just left with 6 times 1, which is 6. Same thing with 6 times 2. If I don't like it, I can move it over. 6 times 2, which I already did up here, which is going to be 12. So that gives me 120. Same thing here. Don't forget to move it though. 6 times 5, I already did, which is 30. Let's write my 0 a little bit too big. So now I have 300. Same thing, I can do the same thing with 2 zeros. Just moving 2 zeros this time. And I'm left with 6 times 1, which is 6. So 6 times 100 is 600. Same thing here. Move 2 zeros now. Since I'm crossing out 2, I have to move 2. 6 times 2 is going to be 12. So we have 1,200. All right. So next, we want to think, how can I get as close to 108 without getting bigger than 108 using these numbers on the side? So I want you to think, I want to get as close as I can to this number inside 108 without being bigger. See, 120, that's too big. So I'm going to go to my next number, which is 60. And we're going to use 60. So we're going to subtract 60. So now we have 8 minus 0, which is 8. 0 minus 6 is not 6. We have to borrow. So this 0 now becomes 10. So 10 minus 6 is going to be 4. And 0 minus this imaginary 0 here. 0 minus imaginary 0 is 0. So I'm finished with this part. I'm going to draw a long line across. When I do that, I know I need a plus sign over here. So then there's a number that goes here. But the way I figure out what number goes here, I'm going to think 6 times what number gave me 60. So if I look over here, I find 60. I look, 6 times what number gives me 60. That number is 10. So now I'm ready for my next step, which is 48, starting here. We're going to start with what we were left with here, and we're going again. We want to get as close as we can to 48 without being over 48 or without being bigger than 48. And that is going to be 60 is too big this time. So we're going to do 30. And we're going to subtract 30. 8 minus 0 is 8. 4 minus 3 is 1. We're left with 18. We're finished with this part. We're going to draw a long line. So again, I know I need a plus sign on this side. So now I have to figure out what number goes here. So again, I need to think 6 times what number equals 30. So I'm going to find 30 over here. 6 times what number equals 30? That number is 5. So we're going to put 5 here. So now we're going on to our next step. And we're starting over again, but we're going to start with what we left off with, which was 18. So it's going to be 18. And again, we want to get as close as we can without going over. So that'll be 12. So we're going to subtract 12. I'm going to draw my box a little bit longer. It wasn't long enough. 18 minus 12 is going to be 6. So finish with this part. I'm going to draw a long line again. Remember, when we draw this long line across, what do we do for these other parts? We need a plus sign. And again, I have to figure out what number goes here. So for the other ones, we have 6 times 10 is 60. 6 times 5 is 30. So this time, 6 times what number is 12? Again, go on this side, find 12. 6 times what number is 12? It's 2. All right, we're going to keep going. Starting again with what I left off with. And this time it's a 6. So what number over here allows me to get as close to 6 without being bigger than 6? It's 6. So we're going to subtract 6. We get 0. And draw a long line. And now, we're not finished, not yet, because we have to figure out what number goes on this side. So we have this 6 here. So we need to figure out 6 times what number is going to equal 6. If you look, it's 1. 6 times 1 is going to equal 6. So we're going to put a 1 in here. So again, we're still not finished. We still have another step because we still don't have our answer. What do you think our final step might be? We have to add these on the side. So we need to add 10 plus 5 plus 2 plus 1. All right, 0 plus 5 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. Plus 1 is 8. And 1 plus all these imaginary zeros is going to be 1. So our answer is going to be 18. We're going to do another example. I have my Easy Breezy facts here at the top ready for me. I've started drawing my box. I like to draw my box first so that I can go ahead and get started after I write my facts. So again, our biggest number is going to go inside. And our smaller number is going to go on the top. So now these Easy Breezy facts, let's get started. And we always do the facts for the number that we're dividing by. So since we're dividing by 5, we're going to do our Easy Breezy facts for the number 5. So 5 times 1, 5 times 2, all right, 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 5 is 25. Same thing as last time. You can cross this 0 out, but make sure you move it to this side. So we put our 0 first, and we cover up the other one. 5 times 1 is 50. Pretend I'm crossing out this 0 and I'm moving it. Cover it up. 5 times 2 is 10, so we have 100. Pretend to move that 0. 5 times 5, I already did it up here, is 25. So we have 250. Pretend I'm moving 2 zeros this time. Cover up these zeros. 5 times 1 is 5. And again, move the 2 zeros. Cover these up. 5 times 2 is 10. And that leaves us with 1,000. So we want to think, how can I get as close to 145 without going over 145? So I see 100, but let's see if I can get a little bit closer. The next number I have is 250. That's too big because we don't want it to be more than 145. 250 is too big, so we're going to have to stick with 100. So let's subtract 100. I'm finished with this top part, so I'm going to draw a long line. When I close off that top part, I need to put a plus sign on the side. And I need a number that goes here. And I figured that out by thinking 5 times what number equals 100. So I'm going to go find 100 here. 5 times what number equals 100. So that means this needs to be a 20. So I'm starting again with what I left off with, which was 45. So, same thing. I want to get as close as I can to 45 without going over. See, 50 is too big, so my next number is going to be 25. Five minus 5 is 0. 4 minus 2 is 2. Finish with that part for now. Put a 0. I have a long line, so what needs to go on the side here? Plus sign. So, have 25 here. We need a number to go on this side. It's not 25, but it's 5 times what number equals 25. So if we find 25, 5 times what number equals 25? That number is 5. All right, so we're starting here. What number do you think might go here? That number is 20. Because we're starting again with what we left off with. So again, we go over here. We want to get as close to 10. I'm sorry, no. As close to 20 without going over 20. 10 gets us as close. So we're going to subtract 10. Oops. And we get 10. So I'm going to draw my box a little bit longer. So I'm finished with this part for now. I have a long line, so I need to put a what on the side? A plus sign. So I see this 10, but 10 doesn't go here. I need to find 10 over here and see 5 times what number equals 10, and that number is 2. So we're going again, and we're starting with, we're going to start with 10. And we want to get as close to 10 without going over. And that number is 10. 25 is too big, and 5 we can get a little bit closer, which is 10. So we're going to subtract 10. 10 minus 10 is 0. So we're going to keep going. Oops, a little bit too far. We're finished with that part for now. So we're going to put a line. We don't really need a plus sign here. So we don't put 10 here on the side. We put a different number. We find 10, and we think 5 times what number equals 10. So look over here. We have 10. 5 times what number equals 10? And that's 2. All right. So now, let's think. What's our next step? Because we're not finished because we still don't have our final answer. We need to add all of these together. That's why we put those plus signs there to help us remember to add them. So let's add 20 plus 5 plus 2 plus 2. 0 plus 5 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 plus 2 is 9. All right, and 2 plus these imaginary zeros is going to be 2. So our answer is 29. I want you to try this one next.